right, Mr. Sweeney, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
Wilbert Sweeney, 421248.
All right, Mr. Sweeney, let me introduce the panel to you. My name is Cheryl Renanza. Mr. Prater is seated to my left. Mr. Tillis is seated to my right. I'm going to read some identifying information into the record, ask you to verify that information, and then we'll conduct our interview with you. We'll hear from the warden and those folks have indicated they'd like to speak. Let me first introduce the folks who are here with us that have joined us by Zoom. We have your sister, Reverend Beverly Sweeney. I see some of it is spelled Sweeney and some of it's spelled Sweeney. So I'm going to just Reverend Beverly Sweeney. Vladimir Celius, your friend, and Jane Baldwin, all of those who have indicated they'd like to speak on your behalf, and we'll call on them at the appropriate time to do so. We have victims representing two families. And I'm going to ask Ms. Judy Lombardino to please introduce the victims that are at least observing. I realize you'll be speaking, but would you introduce them, please, for the record?
It'll be Joseph Cassiope Jr. and it'll be his father, Joseph Cassiope Sr.
Okay, thank you. And then we also have Bridget Bartholomew, another family, victim's aunt, and Jeremiah Abbas, victim's son. We also have from the DA's office in St. Bernard, the DA, Mr. Perry Nicosia, and Megan Suffren. So, Mr. Sweeney, after our interview and after we hear from the warden, we'll hear from the folks who are here in support. We'll hear from the victim's perspective. You'll be allowed to make a statement and then we'll close it out with the DA's remarks. Okay, you ready? All right, Mr. Sweeney, you're classified as a second felony offender. You're currently serving a 53-year sentence. You were sentenced in 1999, August of 1999 in St. Bernard Parish for armed robbery, attempted first-degree murder, and manslaughter. In 2019, in Washington Parish, you have a conviction for contraband. Your parole eligibility date was August 1st, 2021, and you have an adjusted good time date, which is February 2nd, 2040. Does that information sound correct to you, sir?
Ma'am.
Right. Your case this morning has been assigned to Mr. Tillis. Would you answer any questions you may have, please?
Good morning. How are you?
How are you, sir?
Good. How long have you been incarcerated?
It's going on 27 years, sir.
7 years? I noticed. Go ahead.
I was going on 27 years, sir.
Okay. I noticed you've gone through a lot of programs.
Yes, sir. Yes,
What
sir.
do you think about the programs you've gone through? They've helped, they've changed you, or you feel like you've been helped by all of these programs because you have quite a few?
Yes, sir. They have helped me tremendously a lot.
Where did you do time before you came there? Were you-
I was in Angola first, then I went to Rayburn Correctional Center, then I came here.
How long were you in Angola?
I think 9 years.
9 years?
So,
Did you go through any training there?
yes, sir. I went through CPR class there, JC's class, living in balance, substance abuse classes, some Bible college classes, faith-based classes, NAA classes. I did several classes at Angola.
Were you familiar with Kairos Ministry?
Yes, sir. I went through Kairos in Rayburn.
Oh, you did?
Yes, sir. I did Kairos in Rayburn when I was at Rayburn.
What do you think about that program?
It was a beautiful program. It teaches you more about love and respect. It teaches you about the compassion of others, and that's one of the best programs I actually took because the gratitude and the remorse and stuff that they showed of and how they were so compassionate for us, it really touched my heart.
I see. I guess in your statement, you're gonna probably tell us about some things, but what you did was pretty bad, I thought.
Yeah.
I'm not here to judge you. But do you seem, or do you think you've changed?
Yes, I've changed. Yes, I changed tremendously. And I knew that what happened that night was real remorseful. I deal with that deal.
I see. Thank you. No more questions.
So, Mr. Sweeney, tell me about, the most impactful program you took,
Ma'am,
the most impactful program that you took.
all of them was impactful, ma'am. Cause I learned a lot through each one, even the ones that, you know, some of them was 6 weeks ago, some of them was ongoing. But each one of them helped build my character and helped me look deep inside myself.
Tell me about the 2017 contraband.
Yes, ma'am.
You were where? You were at Rayburn?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever take any victim awareness classes?
Yes, ma'am. I took one at Rayburn. I also took one at Angola. And in fact, I actually facilitated one in Rayburn. It was all victims affect our world.
And so in this, the murder that occurred, you knew the victims?
Yes, ma'am.
Were they friends of yours?
Yes, ma'am.
And we'll hear from them shortly. There's obvious opposition from victims' family members as well as law enforcement. And what strikes me is that, well, I have a couple of things. First of all, you have lost 417 days of good time. When's your last write-up?
Last write-up was Christmas of 2022.
And what was the offense?
That was a 3-way phone call.
And then the last loss of good time was in February of 22. That was a 21, right? So when do you think you actually turned the corner? I mean, you think you say you've changed and you're doing well in your beauty. When do you think that change started happening?
Well, change started happening once I started taking those programs seriously. And I had a real quest of helping a lot of people once, because I tried to give back because I felt remorseful, still feel remorseful for what I'd done. So a lot of programs, a lot of stuff I was doing to try to better myself, to give to others. And in the process of that, helping others, I lost myself helping others, and I seen that we hold up. I was doing too much to try to help without actually looking more into myself. So we had to re-inventory myself.
When did you learn you were parole eligible?
That was when Act 122 came about.
Right. So when did you learn that you were parole eligible?
Well, I just got the people, like, think that was about 3 months ago.
So between 2017 or 18, you didn't know that you were parole eligible?
Remember, I wasn't parole eligible at that time.
And when you went to court, you agreed to your 50-year sentence through a plea deal. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. That's all the questions I have. Mr. Pryor, you have any?
Not right now, I might
Okay.
in a few minutes, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Warden, is there anything you can add?
Yes, ma'am. Senator Sweeney and I talked pretty much in depth on yesterday. Pretty impressed about how you applied yourself. with all the programs and so on and so forth, and trying to help the offender population and other institutions we've been to. The biggest thing I like to see happen with Sweeney is to recommend he actually get involved into the Boys and Men program. The Boys and Men program have several monthly topics. One of them in particular speaks on recidivism. And I think that's something be to his benefit if he have to get involved in that Boys and Men program.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. At this time, we'll hear from the people, Mr. Sweeney, who wants to speak in support. And first, we'd like to hear from your sister, the Reverend Sweeney.
I just wanted to say, I know change is always uncertain, but on his journey to change, he did the work. And part of that work to show that he has changed is to take those classes and courses, but not only change physically, but it should be mentally and spiritually as well. And though he had obstacles in the way, as you pointed out, that was a chance for him to examine himself and to realize that those things going to happen and certain things will cause you to fall into the traps and so I often reminded him you have to repent and ask for forgiveness, and even for forgiveness, ask the family for forgiveness. And I'm asking the board to consider him for parole. And he has done the work and still is doing the work to that change.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for your remarks. We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. And then we have Vladimir Celius.
I just like to talk about the relationship me and Mr. Wilbert Sweeney have. That I met Mr. Wilbert Sweeney back in like 2010 at Rayburn Correctional Center myself, because I was formerly incarcerated, and we met we was in the JC Club, and I was the president and he was the vice president of communication, and we just came together to see what we can do to better our community inside the prison. And what he stated when we the ones started the program with all victims is our victim awareness program that we had started. And we was the co-founders of it. We went through it first, then we started facilitating the program. At that time, he became a tutor. I became a tutor in welding. And what we were doing as the student was graduating from getting a GED, we were bringing them on through welding. Wilbert Sweeney has been a big part of my life since I've been home through my transformation, because when I come home, I needed someone I could talk to keep my head level headed. And he was one of them person that I can call, right? He'll call me, he'll write me on JP. And like right now, I'm a re-entry case manager for Total Community Action in New Orleans. So if he is granted parole, he have a chance here. I could be his case manager, help him find a job, housing, and things of that nature. Anything that he need for him to better himself once he do come home. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and Ms. Baldwin.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak on Will's behalf. And I just have to say I'm 82, and this is reminds me of my mother had Alzheimer's, and the only time she forgave me for a lot of my sins was when she couldn't remember anymore. But the thing that I have learned from Will is that he has been in a constant state of repentance. And I know how hard it is to forgive when something has happened so tragically as has happened to the family of the person that was killed. But I know that forgiveness is as much for the person who was wronged as it is for the person who did the perpetrating of the wrong. And I want to say that I met Will in 2014 maybe, and I've written to everyone, and you have that story. And it meant so much to me in these last years that Will was part of my support system. I finally had a wonderful husband out of 2 that were alcoholics and ran away. And then he passed away after I had met Will. And his wisdom and his comfort meant so much to me, and to my family, and to the little church that I belonged to, because I shared a lot of the things that he wrote and shared with me with them. And I know, in my heart, I know, but I know too intellectually that Will has a place in the world on the outside to help people who are astray. He's a shepherd, and he has, not just that he will, but he has, in the past years that I've known him, reached out to others and tried to help them find their way, because that's what he had to do. And he rightfully says he was helped, and that's what he wants to do now. And he doesn't just say it, he does it. And I know that when I was Will's age now, the age that he is, I was still making mistakes, as he has. And the thing, I have 8 children and 14 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. And the thing I tell them all is, please don't be afraid of your mistakes, as long as you use them to keep growing and becoming a better person. And that's what Will has done, and I'm proud of him for that. So I count him as one of my sons. I've experienced everything with my 8 children. Some have been in jail and out of jail, and in drug treatment and out of drug treatment. I've known it all. I've known all the heartache that the parents of the person who lost their child.
Yeah, Ms. Baldwin, I'm sorry to interrupt, ma'am, but could you wrap it up for us, please?
Yes, and to wrap it up, I just say, I know it's a great responsibility that you have, and I feel that same responsibility, and so in supporting him, I'm aware of that responsibility. So thank you for letting me speak for him.
And thank you so much for being here today.
Okay.
So we'll hear from the victim's family. First, we'll start with Mr. Joseph Cacciopi. You want to speak? Mr. Joseph Jr., right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Joseph Cacciopi. I'm the only surviving witness in the victim of a crime spree that resulted in cruel, premeditated, cold-blooded execution-style murder of my fiancée, Alicia, by Wilbert Sweeney, and my about-to-be-born daughter, and cold-blooded attempt to murder me. I opposed granting parole to Wilbert Sweeney. At the time of her murder, Alicia was 7 months pregnant with our daughter. Together, we were raising Alicia's 3-year-old son and looking forward to the birth of our first child. We were a family until Wilbert Sweeney knocked on our door and destroyed it all. Wilbert Sweeney was supposed to be my friend. Instead, he plotted with his brother Johnny and Cornell Bush and did rob and kill Alicia in cold blood and attempted to kill me in cold blood as well. What's so cold-blooded, callous, and cruel is the manner in which they planned and carried out these crimes. It was calculated and premeditated. It took at least 30 minutes for them to drive from Kenner to my home in Chalmette. Sweeney had at least 30 minutes to think about what he was going to do to Alicia and me before arriving at our home. He could have turned around, he could have changed his mind, but he didn't. Alicia and I welcomed Sweeney into our home for at least 45 minutes. Sweeney pretended to be our friend, laughing, joking, watching TV, playing video games with me. Wilbert looked at me and Alicia in the face. When Wilbert looked at Alicia, saw an obviously 7-month pregnant woman, we meant nothing to him. During the entire time, Sweeney pretended to be our friend. He knew that as part of the plan, Bush had a sawed-off shotgun sitting just outside the door of our home. Wilbert and his brother Johnny had another gun that they hid until Wilbert pulled it out and pointed it at us at a prearranged time. When Bush retrieved the shotgun, he stood between us and the door to the outside while Wilbert and his brother searched our home for money and things to steal. Bush held me and Alicia at gunpoint, and Bush more than once threatened to kill us if we moved. When Sweeney returned from upstairs, he was carrying the pistol. To this day, I can still see the fear in Alicia's face. To this day, I can still hear Alicia begging over and over, please don't kill me. To this day, I can still hear Sweeney ordering us to put pillows over our faces. To this day, I can still see Wilbert shooting Alicia in the head and can still hear the blast as he pulled the trigger. I can still feel and hear being shot in the back and in my leg. I can still feel the glass of the window cutting through my leg as I jumped through the window to save my life. I remember Alicia's blood, her brains, my blood, and the pain. I should have bled to death and would have if it wasn't for a good Samaritan. I remember being told that one of the shots missed my heart and I was lucky to be alive. I shouldn't be alive, and if Wilbert Sweeney had his way, I'd be dead too. All three planned to rob and kill us. There was no way Wilbert or any of them were going to let us live. We knew them. I could identify them. I knew where Bush and Sweeney lived. I knew where Sweeney worked. I could describe the car they drove. If we lived, they were going to prison. To prevent that, they had to kill us. Sweeney should serve every day he was sentenced to. Every day I live with the scars of that day, emotional and physical. Have not married and have not fathered another child. Every day I think about what they took from me. The images of that day, Alicia laying in her own blood, the thoughts of our baby girl, our daughter, never getting a chance to live, and Alicia's 3-year-old son growing up without a mother. I get up in the morning thinking about it, and I go to bed thinking about it. To this day, I have never recovered from my physical injuries. I still have pain from where the bullet hit and damaged my sciatic nerve. I've had 2 surgeries and what will likely need more as scar tissue continues to accumulate and put pressure on my sciatic nerve. Every day I suffer with pain. I not sit more than a few hours. The foot and leg are always numb, causing the pain to increase. I will never be without pain. Wilbert Sweeney is not supposed to be eligible for parole. When Sweeney was sentenced to 50 years in jail, we were told that he would never be eligible for parole, that he would spend 47 years in jail, and that his jail time could only be reduced if he earned good time. And the judge made sure Sweeney knew this as well. Knowing that he would spend almost 50 years in jail helped, but even that small bit of comfort has been taken away when the Louisiana legislature recently gave parole eligibility to violent criminals, including Wilbert Sweeney. I feel that the state of Louisiana has betrayed me, that it cares more for life than it does for Alicia's life or my life, and the life of my daughter. The state of Louisiana has broken the promises it made to me, Alicia, our daughter, and our families. The state of Louisiana has put me on the burden of keeping him in jail as promised, no matter how traumatizing it is for me. It's on me to remind you of what happened. It's on me to relive and retell the awful events of that day. Wilbert Sweeney agreed to spend 50 years in prison without parole. Wilbert Sweeney has already been given more leniency than he deserves, and parole for him is not justice for me, Alicia, our baby girl, who never had a chance to live, or anybody else who's involved.
Yes, sir, thank you. And Ms. Lombardino, it's my understanding that you'll be speaking on behalf of Mr. Joseph Senior. Is that correct? Yes, ma'am. And we do have the letter that was written, so if you could just summarize your remarks in the interest of time, please. I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
In the interest of time, if you would like to go to the other family, that would be fine with
Okay.
us.
Thank you. We appreciate it. All right, then we have, could we hear from Jeremiah, please?
Good morning, how you doing?
Morning. Thanks for being here. What would you like to tell us?
My name is Jeremiah Avis. Elisha was my mother. I don't really have no memory of the shooting. I was present. What I can say is Wilbert has made my life extremely hard. I grew up with a lot of anger. He took something away from me I could never get. I don't even know how my mother looks. It's very painful. I have kids you can never meet. It's just hard.
So you can see.
It's just real hard. If y'all have anything in y'all heart, any mercy, any power y'all can do, I beg you, never to let him out. I would like to see him die in prison, because what he did, my mother didn't deserve. So he doesn't deserve no freedom at all. If y'all could do anything, that's all I ask.
Thank you, Mr. Avis. Thank you for speaking with us. And Ms. Bridget, is there something you'd like to say to us?
Yes, ma'am. I don't want him out of there. Please, whatever y'all could do, keep him there. Please, this child, Jeremiah went through so much as a baby. He don't know his mama. He didn't even get to meet his little sister. This child got a lot of anger management now on everybody because somebody else took his mama. He won't know why he took his mama. I told him I can't do nothing. I can't explain this, why. I just ask y'all, please help us. Just don't give him that freedom back. Please. Thank y'all.
Thank you, but thank you all. I know it took a lot of courage to speak with us this morning, and we do appreciate it. I'm going to ask Mr. Sweeney for his statement before we let the DA close it out for us. So, Mr. Sweeney, is there anything you'd like to say to the panel and address your remarks to us, please? Y'all are on mute. She's coming to fix it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead. Now, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Just to everybody, first to victims, I understand. It was drugs that done it. It's never was the intent, but still the intent was bad because, you know, I remorse. I lived through that daily myself. I beat myself up daily with that situation. I'm very remorseful, and I understand each and every last one of y'all, and I understand how y'all feel. I just ask that please, there's some kind of way that y'all try to find forgiveness in your hearts. I understand the situation. I lost my brother, so I understand the ripple effect from that decision almost 27 years ago. My brother OD'd last year, right here at the island with me. So I understand y'all remorse. I feel it.
Remarks are to the committee. Your remarks should be addressed to us.
Okay, I'm remorseful. I apologize for my actions. It's nothing that I can say to change it. I live with that daily. My heart grieves. You know, I understand the crimes, how the ripple effect, it only just affect that person, it affected many others. I understand how widespread it did. And daily I try to give back. I done took many courses to try to correct You know, I know it's nothing I can do to see, to make it right or anything, but I just ask that, you know, God, just somebody, just forgive me. I prayed on it, I pray to God, and I know that, you know, that he has the last say though, but I appreciate the time and opportunity to be able to have this time. Appreciate it.
Right, thank you, sir. Okay, we'd like to ask Mr. Nikosha for, to close it out for us. Is he there with us? Y'all are on mute.
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I would like to just echo the thoughts of the victims, the courage it takes them to continually endure this pain, to have to attend this hearing. It was a gruesome event, a gruesome killing. And we stand by the victims in asserting that the agreed upon sentence was 50+ years. And we urge this board to deny parole and stand by the deal, stand by the sentence. And thank you so much for the victims. And we will always be here with you. And we will always attend these hearings to make sure justice is done and serve as handed down. Thank you.
Sir, thank you. You broke up a little bit at the end, but I think we definitely got your position. So thank you, sir, for joining us today. I think we are prepared to vote.
Thank you.
Mr. Crooks will be voting first.
Denied.
Mr. Crater.
Denied.
All right, Mr. Sweeney, you know, my vote is also to deny based on the opposition that's been expressed here this morning. I do appreciate your work, your community service that you've trying to help others, but you got to work on yourself first. And you just seem like you just started that. So my vote today is to deny me parole. We wish you well. Good luck to you, sir. And Mr. Nikosha, thank you for your support at the Orleans event that we sponsored last year for victims. Thank you for being there. We appreciate it. That concludes our business. Warden Thompson, at your facility today. We're going to sign off. It's 11:34. Thanks for helping us out.